Lieutenant Colonel Harris signaled the team to prepare for extraction, every movement calculated and precise, the SEALs gathering the captured intelligence and supplies into secure packs while remaining alert to threats from every angle. The valley. Outside the warehouse stretched like a gauntlet twisted metal, and debris scattered across the scorched terrain, each shadow potentially hiding enemy combatants. The A-10 roared overhead engines, screaming a thunderous shield, forcing the enemy into retreat. Yet the team knew that leaving the warehouse would expose them to concentrated fire. Each second was a delicate negotiation between speed and stealth, every heartbeat a measure of risk. Harris led the team out of the warehouse, moving low and fast across the debris-littered ground, coordinating every step with the strafing runs of the aircraft. Above, sparks flew from stressed metal panels above as the A-10 unleashed rounds into the open positions where the enemy attempted to regroup. Debris and dust raining down, forcing split-second adjustments. The SEALs moved in tight formation, their rifles at the ready eyes, scanning every shadow, every jagged piece of rubble. Each corner cleared revealed potential ambush points, the enemy, desperate and calculating, trying to trap them between their fire and the treacherous terrain. Harris signaled for suppressive fire, while using the explosions and debris from the overhead attack as cover, timing every movement to the roar of engines. Above, the extraction route was narrow, winding between collapsed walls and jagged rocks, every misstep a potential disaster. Sparks and smoke rose from damaged structures, and the ground trembled from repeated strafing runs, the acrid smell of burnt fuel and scorched metal filling the air. The co-pilot of the A-10 whispered over comms updates on enemy movement, while Harris adjusted course, signaling the team forward inch by inch. Each step was a balance between survival and speed. Every vibration, from the aircraft above, a reminder of both protection and danger. The enemy launched a sudden counterattack from a hidden ridge, firing sporadically, forcing the SEALs to dive behind cover and return fire coordinated with strafing runs above, the shockwaves rattling loose debris around them. Each second stretched endlessly, bullets ricocheting off metal and stone, sparks flying from impacted debris. The team advancing cautiously yet relentlessly. Harris led the team through a particularly narrow corridor of rubble, timing each movement with the suppression from above, the roar of engines providing both shield and warning as the aircraft unleashed another devastating pass. The SEALs moved like shadows across the ruined valley, using every fragment of cover to conceal movement, advancing inch by inch, with their eyes fixed on the distant extraction point. Smoke and dust, blurred vision forcing reliance on training instinct and heightened awareness of sound and motion. Every shadow could conceal a sniper, every shifting beam, a trap. Sparks flew from stressed metal structures, debris falling unpredictably. Bullets tearing through the air, forcing micro-adjustments. Harris signaled for a coordinated push, timing it precisely with another strafing pass of the A-10 overhead engines, screaming, unleashing destruction into enemy lines, yet scattering debris dangerously close to the team. The terrain grew increasingly treacherous, twisted metal and shattered vehicles creating obstacles that had to be navigated while maintaining speed and cover fire. The SEALs moved in perfect coordination, each step deliberate, each glance conveying intent and action. Harris calculated every movement, timing every breath, every heartbeat. With the chaotic rhythm of the battle above, the enemy attempted a last desperate ambush from hidden ruins. Yet the combined suppressive fire of the team and the relentless strafing of the A-10 neutralized the threat before it could fully form. Sparks and smoke rose from both damaged structures and debris from the aerial attack. The smell of burnt fuel and scorched metal thick in the air, the valley alive with noise and chaos. Each movement a calculated risk, every second a battle against exhaustion, fear, and unpredictable danger. Harris led the final push toward the extraction point, the glow of lights in the distance signaling hope, yet each step remained fraught with peril. The enemy still scattered in pockets across the terrain. every heartbeat. A measure of courage and skill. Every vibration from the aircraft, every shudder of debris, every distant explosion was a reminder that the battle was not yet won, yet inch by inch, step by step, the team pressed forward, relying on training instinct, and the relentless support of the A-10 above the general may have said it was over, yet the roar of engines and the chaos below proved that survival and success were still possible if they could navigate the final stretch through the valley alive. And intact, Lieutenant Colonel Harris led the SEALs across the shattered valley, every muscle tense, every nerve alive, the glow of the distant extraction point cutting through the smoke and haze ahead. Sparks and debris still fell from damaged structures, as the A-10 roared overhead, engines screaming a relentless thunder that kept the enemy suppressed, yet reminded the team that danger remained with every step. The ground trembled beneath the roar of the aircraft, each vibration a reminder that the fragile balance between survival and disaster could shift at any second. Harris signaled for coordinated movement, each member of the team responding with precise gestures and disciplined speed. The enemy fired sporadically from hidden positions, twisted metal and ruined vehicles providing both cover and deadly traps, every shadow a potential threat. Every second stretched endlessly, bullets, ricocheting sparks flying from debris, the smell of smoke and burnt fuel thick in the air. The team pressed forward inch by inch, timing every movement with the strafing runs above. The A-10 banked low, unleashing a devastating barrage, engines screaming, its guns spitting fire and smoke into enemy positions, forcing combatants into retreat and chaos. While above the roar and thunder of the aircraft provided a shield below, the SEALs navigated a gauntlet of rubble and gunfire. Each movement was coordinated, every glance a communication, every step a calculation. Harris led the team across a particularly exposed stretch of debris-littered ground, timing their advance with the explosions above as bullets tore through the air. Sparks flew from metal and concrete, fragments ricocheted dangerously close, forcing instantaneous adjustments. The extraction point grew closer, a glowing beacon in the shattered valley. Yet each step remained a perilous negotiation with terrain, enemy, and the unstable structures around them. The enemy launched a desperate counterattack from a hidden ridge, firing with intensity, trying to pin the team down. Harris signaled a coordinated suppressive volley, while the A-10 swooped low above, unleashing rounds that tore through cover and scattered combatants. Yet debris and dust rained down, forcing careful movement. Sparks and smoke curled faintly from stressed metal debris, shifted unpredictably, forcing micro-adjustments each step, a test of skill and nerve. The SEALs advanced like shadows, moving from cover to cover, timing each movement with the chaos above every heartbeat. A reminder that the margin for error was razor-thin. Harris directed fire while advancing inch by inch towards the extraction point. The terrain became increasingly treacherous, twisted metal, jagged concrete, and fallen beams threatening to slow their progress. Yet the team pressed on, relying on training, coordination, and instinct. Each vibration from the aircraft above, every explosion, every shudder of debris reminded them that they were not yet safe. Yet the final stretch was within reach. Sparks flew from stressed structures, bullets ricocheted, smoke thick in the air, the acrid tang of burnt fuel and metal stinging their nostrils. Each moment required absolute focus, every second a gamble against chaos and enemy intent. The A-10 made another low pass, engines screaming its guns, a relentless torrent of fire scattering the remaining enemy forces, leaving a path clear yet treacherous for the team. Harris signaled the final push, the SEALs moving with lethal precision, clearing obstacles, suppressing threats, coordinating every micro-movement with the aircraft above. Sparks and debris fell from the structures around them, the ground shaking under the repeated passes of the A-10, yet inch by inch they pressed forward. The extraction Point was near just beyond a final stretch littered with wreckage and enemy positions. Harris timed every move with the strafing runs above covering the team as they sprinted the final meters through bullets, flying debris, collapsing metal, and the roar of engines. The team reached the extraction zone, securing their position while the helicopter hovered and landed amidst the chaos. The A-10 roared one last pass, engines screaming a deafening presence that forced the last pockets of enemy resistance to scatter and flee. Sparks flew, smoke billowed, yet the SEALs moved swiftly, loading the captured intelligence and supplies into the helicopter each second. Critical. Every heartbeat a drum of survival, every breath a measure of victory. Yet the danger was not fully past until they were safely airborne. Harris and his team boarded rapidly, the helicopter lifting into the sky, the valley below a twisted scar of destruction, chaos, and smoke. The A-10 followed for a final sweep engines, screaming, ensuring the team's escape and leaving behind the remnants of the enemy's attempt to hold the field. The general may have said it was over, yet the roar of engines, the chaos of battle, and the courage of those who refused to yield proved that even when hope seemed lost, survival and triumph were still possible. The helicopter rose above the valley, the SEALs battered, exhausted, yet alive, the A-10 banking one last time. Lieutenant Colonel Harris signaled the team to take positions around the ruined warehouse. Every movement calculated and silent, their rifles ready, their senses on high alert. Smoke and dust hung heavy in the air, the acrid scent of burning fuel, and scorched metal stinging their eyes and lungs. The A-10 roared overhead, engines screaming a thunderous presence that struck fear into the enemy below, yet also forced debris and rubble to cascade unpredictably around them. Harris counted heartbeats and measured seconds, timing the strafing runs above with their approach. The enemy had regrouped inside the structure, firing sporadically from shattered walls and makeshift barricades, bullets striking metal and concrete around the SEALs as they advanced low and fast, using the chaos above as cover. Every step required coordination, every glance communicated intent and action. The A-10 made another dive, releasing ordnance with surgical precision explosions, sending clouds of dust and twisted metal into the air, masking their movement, yet also threatening to collapse parts of the already unstable structure. Harris led the team around a crumbling wall, signaling them forward inch by inch, each movement measured against the trajectory of falling debris and enemy fire. The warehouse loomed larger ahead, jagged shadows casting illusions of movement. The windows shattered, the doors hanging off rusted hinges, yet every corner could conceal a hidden enemy combatant. The team paused briefly, behind cover, assessing angles, points of entry, and potential threats. The roar of the A-10 above engines, screaming as it circled and released fire, provided both chaos and cover. A relentless force that kept the enemy suppressed, yet reminded them that danger was everywhere. Sparks flew from stressed metal panels inside the warehouse sections, collapsing under the shock waves from the overhead attack. Forcing the SEALs to adjust their path quickly, Harris signaled for a coordinated push toward the nearest entrance, covering each movement with suppressive fire, their rifles echoing in the cavernous space. Smoke and dust obscured vision, forcing reliance on training and instinct. Every sound amplified, every shadow a potential threat. The co-pilot of the A-10 executed a strafing run across the far side of the structure, engines screaming a relentless symphony of destruction, sending enemy combatants scattering. Harris timed the push to coincide with the barrage moving forward as the enemy tried to recover from the sudden onslaught. Every step forward was a battle against both human and environmental hazards, collapsing beams, flying debris, and ricocheting bullets threatening to strike at any instant. The SEALs advanced cautiously, clearing each segment of the structure room by room, signaling silently and covering each other with precise, calculated fire. The A-10 swooped low again, engines screaming and guns firing, tearing through enemy cover and sending smoke and fire spiraling. Across the warehouse yard below, Harris adjusted positions using every fragment of debris as cover, moving closer to the command center of the building where critical communications equipment and supplies were presumed. The enemy tried to regroup, firing sporadically from shattered walls, but each attempt was met with suppressive fire from the team and relentless strafing above. The SEALs moved like shadows across the battlefield, coordinating movements with hand signals, glances, and gestures. Timing each advance with the A-10's destructive passes, sparks flew from stressed panels sections of wall, crumbling from both enemy fire and ordnance falling from above, debris raining down, forcing split-second adjustments and near misses. Each moment was a test of nerve, skill, and coordination. The team pressed onward inch by inch, room by room, clearing the structure with meticulous precision. Harris felt every heartbeat echo in his chest, each shudder of metal and wood. A reminder that any mistake could be fatal. The A-10 unleashed another devastating volley above engines, screaming the roar of destruction, shaking the valley, sending enemy combatants scattering and leaving twisted metal and smoke in its wake. Harris signaled a final coordinated push toward the core of the warehouse, knowing the intelligence and supplies they needed were just ahead. Every second, a battle against both the enemy and the treacherous environment. Sparks and smoke rose from stressed beams and panels, the smell of burnt fuel and metal thick in the air. Yet the SEALs moved forward, their training and determination pushing them relentlessly toward the objective. The general had said it was over, yet the roar above and the chaos below made it clear the battle was far from finished, and that survival would demand every ounce of skill, courage, and coordination the team possessed as they prepared to breach the enemy stronghold and claim victory. The SEALs paused at the threshold of the warehouse core, every sense on high alert, the acrid smell of smoke and burnt fuel filling their lungs and stinging their eyes. Lieutenant Colonel Harris signaled silently, the team splitting into cover positions ready to breach. The A-10 roared overhead, engines screaming a relentless presence that struck fear into the enemy and provided a chaotic shield for the team below. Every second stretched endlessly as the SEALs assessed angles, points of entry, and potential threats. Sparks flew from stressed panels above, and debris from the initial strikes rained down, forcing micro-adjustments to every movement. The enemy inside scrambled to recover from the strafing runs, bullets cutting through shattered walls and ricocheting off twisted metal, forcing the SEALs to move cautiously, yet with purpose. Each step was a calculated risk, every heartbeat a measure of tension. Harris led the team forward inch by inch, signaling covers and suppressive fire. The roar of the A-10 above was deafening engines, screaming in a relentless symphony of destruction and chaos, forcing enemy combatants into retreat while the SEALs advanced deeper into the heart of the warehouse. Smoke and dust obscured vision, forcing reliance on training instinct and acute awareness of sound and movement. Every shadow, every broken beam could conceal an ambush, yet they pressed forward with disciplined precision. Sparks leapt from stressed metal and broken structures, every vibration and tremor a reminder of the fragility of their surroundings and the ever-present threat of collapse. Harris signaled a coordinated push toward the central command area, known to house critical communications equipment and supplies. Each room cleared revealed more dangers, the enemy desperate, and cornered, launching sporadic attacks that were met with rapid and precise return fire coordinated with the A-10 above. The roar of engines and the thunder of cannons echoed like distant thunder, rattling the walls, sending clouds of smoke and debris into the air. The SEALs moved like shadows, each step calculated, each glance a communication of intent and action. They reached the central room, the presumed location of vital intelligence and supplies. Yet the enemy had fortified it with improvised barricades and snipers hiding among twisted metal and rubble. Harris assessed the room, calculating angles, trajectories, and timing, coordinating movements with both the team and the aircraft overhead. The A-10 swooped in low engines, screaming, releasing another devastating barrage, the shockwaves rattling walls and scattering enemy forces, yet debris fell dangerously close, forcing instantaneous adjustments. Harris signaled the team forward, each SEAL moving with lethal precision, clearing obstacles, suppressing threats, and advancing methodically. Inch by inch, sparks flew from stressed beams, the smell of smoke and burnt metal thick in the air, bullets ricocheting and shattering remnants of walls adding to the chaos. Each second was a battle against fatigue, fear, and unpredictable dangers as the team advanced toward the core. Every heartbeat a drum of adrenaline, every breath a measure of survival. The enemy attempted a last desperate ambush from hidden corners, yet coordinated. Fire from the SEALs and the relentless strafing of the A-10 above neutralized threats before they could fully form. Harris led the final push into the command area, securing the vital equipment and supplies, signaling the team to hold position as the roar of engines continued overhead. The structure creaked under stress debris, shifting and falling with every pass of the aircraft. Yet the team held fast, coordinating defensive positions and covering one another. Each movement was precise, deliberate, and executed under extreme pressure. Sparks and smoke curled faintly from stressed beams and panels, the acrid smell of burnt fuel and metal filling the air, the team navigating the chaos with practiced skill. The A-10 made another pass, engines screaming, unleashing a barrage that forced remaining enemy combatants into retreat. Sending clouds of dust and fire spiraling into the sky, Harris coordinated the extraction and consolidation of captured intelligence and supplies, ensuring every member of the team remained covered by fire and debris from the overhead aircraft. The general had said it was over, yet the roar above and the chaos below made it abundantly clear the battle was far from finished and that survival and success depended entirely on coordination, skill, and courage as the team prepared to move out of the warehouse into the uncertain terrain beyond. Every second a test of nerve and every heartbeat a measure of determination. The valley lay quiet beneath the pale morning sun, shattered vehicles and smoldering ruins scattered across the terrain as if the earth itself had been ripped apart. Lieutenant Colonel Harris crouched behind a twisted fragment of metal, surveying the devastation around him. The general had already declared the mission over retreat was ordered, and yet here they were, stranded in the middle of hostile territory, exhausted and running low on supplies. His team moved like shadows through the debris each step, careful, calculated, their rifles ready, their senses alert to every whisper of movement. The wind carried the scent of smoke and scorched earth, mingling with the metallic tang of blood, as Harris signaled silently to advance, the men responding in perfect coordination. Their objective had been a surgical strike to disrupt enemy communications and supply lines, yet the ambush had been more coordinated than anyone had anticipated, leaving them pinned down with no immediate support. Harris's eyes swept the horizon, scanning for any signs of movement, every ruined wall, every collapsed building a potential threat. Each minute stretched endlessly as they inched forward, the echo of distant explosions, a constant reminder of the chaos surrounding them. Then the sky shifted, the clouds rolling in fast, dark shapes, moving against the morning light, a rumble of engines breaking the uneasy silence above. Harris froze instinctively, the hairs on his arms rising. The men followed, his gaze to the sky. And there it was, an A-10 diving through the clouds alone. No escort, no cover, just the roar of its engines and the unmistakable shape of a battle-hardened warbird coming straight toward the valley. Harris's heart pounded, adrenaline and disbelief colliding in his chest. The general had said it was over, that no air support was available yet. Here it was, descending with precision and fury, its guns spitting fire and smoke into the enemy lines below. The ground shook with the shock waves. each pass a reminder of the destructive power descending upon them. Harris signaled the team to move forward, using the chaos created by the aircraft to press their advantage. But even as they advanced, the enemy responded with sudden bursts of fire. From hidden positions, the A-10 banked sharply, releasing ordnance with surgical accuracy leveling structures and sending enemy combatants scattering. The roar of the engines above was deafening yet strangely reassuring, a signal that the battle was not lost and that survival was still possible. Harris's mind raced, calculating angles, lines of advance, and timing, each move perfectly with the strafing runs above. The enemy regrouped, attempting to coordinate counterattacks, yet the sudden appearance of the A-10 had thrown them into disarray, providing a narrow window for Harris and his team to advance cautiously yet aggressively. Every second was a gamble, every movement a test of nerves and skill. They moved from cover to cover using debris and shadows. Their senses heightened, every sound amplified. The A-10 made another pass above, roaring like a thunderclap, shaking loose debris and sending up clouds of dust, smoke, and fire below. Harris counted heartbeats until the ground settled, and he signaled to the team to push toward the enemy's forward position. They advanced quickly and silently, taking advantage of the chaos below. Yet each shadow, each corner could conceal an ambush. Their path led toward a ruined communications tower. The presumed hub of enemy activity intelligence had indicated critical information stored there, and Harris knew capturing or destroying it could turn the tide of the mission. The valley was alive with tension, the sound of distant gunfire, explosions, and the A-10 overhead creating a symphony of chaos and opportunity. Harris led the team toward the structure, calculating every move with the aircraft, providing cover fire and distraction. Each corner cleared revealed new threats, yet also pathways forward, forcing Harris to constantly adjust strategy, every heartbeat synchronized with the roar of engines above and the rhythm of gunfire below. The general had said it was over, yet the A-10 had made it very clear that the battle was far from finished, and that what came next would test every ounce of courage and skill the team possessed. The roar of the A-10 above rattled the valley as Lieutenant Colonel Harris and his team moved cautiously through the ruined terrain, each step measured against the jagged debris and uneven ground. Smoke and dust hung in the air, the acrid scent of fire and metal burning filling their lungs and stinging their eyes. The enemy had regrouped after the initial strike, and sporadic gunfire erupted from hidden positions, forcing the SEALs to dive behind shattered walls and twisted metal beams. Harris signaled silently to advance, timing every movement with the deafening roar of the aircraft overhead. The A-10 banked sharply, releasing ordnance with precision, each explosion sending clouds of dust and debris spiraling into the air, masking their advance, yet also threatening to collapse weakened structures around them. The ground shook beneath their feet, each vibration a reminder of how close disaster could come with every second. The team moved in a tight formation, low and fast, using the chaos to cover ground. Every glance calculated, every gesture a message of intent and coordination. Their path led through a narrow corridor of crumbling walls and scorched earth, the enemy firing sporadically from hidden vantage points, forcing Harris to calculate every step to avoid ambush. Yet pressing forward was the only option. Each corner revealed new dangers, the occasional flash of muzzle fire, or the sudden shadow of a sniper, a reminder that death could come in an instant. The A-10 made another pass above engines, screaming, releasing a new salvo of ordnance, the explosions shaking loose debris that tumbled dangerously close to the SEALs. Yet each strike cleared enemy positions, providing precious opportunity to advance. Harris counted heartbeats until the shock waves settled, signaling the team forward. Each movement had to be precise, coordinated with both the terrain and the actions of the aircraft. Above, one wrong step could trigger a collapse or draw enemy fire in a lethal sequence. They advanced toward a ruined warehouse, the presumed storage of critical supplies and intelligence, the key to turning the mission from survival into success. The valley seemed to stretch endlessly, every shadow, every jagged piece of rubble a potential threat. Yet the SEALs pressed forward, their training and instinct guiding them through the chaos. Harris could hear the distant thunder of the A-10's cannon, every pass a rhythmic signal that told him when to move and when to hold position. Smoke and fire blurred the edges of the battlefield, reducing visibility yet amplifying tension, forcing every sense to heighten. The enemy launched a sudden ambush from a collapsed wall, catching one team member off guard, bullets ripping through debris. The SEALs reacting instantly, suppressing the attack with precise return fire, covering each other as they continued forward. Harris felt his heart pound, each beat a drum of adrenaline and fear, yet the roar above reminded him that the aircraft was still holding the enemy at bay, providing the window they needed. The co-pilot of the A-10 executed another strafing run across the far side of the valley, sending enemy combatants scattering and leaving twisted metal and dust in their wake. The team used the chaos to move from cover to cover, inching closer to the warehouse every meter, a battle against fatigue, fear, and the unpredictable violence of combat. The ruined structure loomed ahead, jagged and ominous. The likely hub of enemy activity. Intelligence had flagged it as the site of critical communications equipment and weapons caches. Harris signaled the team to prepare for entry, checking each member's position and readiness. They paused for a heartbeat. The world around them a storm of smoke dust and the thunder of the aircraft above. Yet the moment of stillness was brief as the enemy realized their vulnerability and fired sporadically, forcing the SEALs to dive low and return precise suppressive fire. The A-10 made yet another dive overhead, engines screaming, unleashing a torrent of rounds that tore through enemy cover and forced combatants into retreat. Yet debris fell dangerously around the team, threatening to crush or unbalance them. Harris led the final approach to the warehouse, timing every step with the passes above, adjusting their path to avoid collapsing rubble and enemy fire. Each second stretched endlessly. Every movement critical, every breath a reminder that death was never far, and survival depended entirely on coordination skill and the relentless presence of the aircraft overhead. The general had said it was over. Yet the roar above told a different story, that hope and determination could still shift the outcome, that the battle was far from done, and that what came next would test every ounce of courage and training the team possessed as they prepared to breach the enemy stronghold.